I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Loose Cannon. And that is because the aspects are rather harsh under tomorrow's powerful new moon at 15 degrees of Sagittarius. And there are very good planets in Sagittarius. The sun and new moon are there at 15 degrees, and Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is also in the sign, and they are trining a fourth planet in a fire sign, Uranus in Aries, which is at the fateful 29th degree. And so the reason why there can be a loose cannon around is because there is a very harsh aspect to this new moon, and we have to take that into account. And that is because the Mars in Pisces is at 14 degrees of Pisces. It's a planet of aggression, war, jealousy, hate, envy, and greed. It's not at all at home in a gentle sign like Pisces. And it is exactly conjunct Neptune, the ruler of the sign, which is also at 14 degrees. Those two planets at 14 degrees are harshly squaring the sun and new moon in Sagittarius at 15 degrees. The harshness is almost exact. And that's why, since Pisces rules a lot of hidden things behind the scenes, that there can be a person or an organization around right now that can be quite willing to absolutely shred all legal precedents as they decide that they want to pursue and complete an evil plan of their own. And these are people that could have been working behind the scenes even for a very long time. But they don't care how many laws they break, and that's why they're willing to shred legal precedents. Well, that's important because that's what Sagittarius rules. It rules the courts and foreign countries, and it rules higher education, such as four-year colleges and universities, but it also rules religion and philosophy, and it rules international organizations and the whole judicial system throughout the world. So that's what's being threatened by the two planets in Pisces, which are so harshly squaring this new moon. Those two planets are also backed up because they are being tried by two other planets in a water sign, Venus, which is now has entered Scorpio, and Mercury, which is now direct, is also in Scorpio. So there's four planets in water signs, and they're trining each other, and there's four planets in the fire signs trining each other. However, the insanity, which is what Pisces rules, the insanity of their quest by a loose cannon or an organization like that is horrifying, because it wants to absolutely deny the respect and the kindness of humanity. And so it doesn't care anything about that. And so what instead it wants to do is that it wants to go ahead and replace that respect and kindness and the way humanity works at its best with a sort of a depravity of mind right now, or with a real arrogant contempt for humanity itself. And so this is evil because it denies humanity. It denies the everyday way that we all live throughout the world. Sagittarius rules countries worldwide, not just a certain country. It does rule the whole Middle East, particularly the country of Saudi Arabia, but it does rule foreign countries throughout the globe. And that's the way we live is, and the law of the land, any land, is what's being threatened right now. So what will the outcome be? And how will all of this affect us? Well, we have to think about the things that Pisces rules. Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. It rules omissions and deceptions and maybe outright lies. It also rules all areas of confinement, such as prisons and jails and hospitals and sanitariums and even concentration camps. and it rules the whole pharmaceutical industry, and it rules the oil and gas industry, and it rules our hidden doubts and fears. So the outcome of having a loose cannon around, which is very dangerous right now, or an organization that has an arrogant attitude about humanity and wants to shred all the laws of the land in order to follow its own evil plan, the outcome could be something like severe harm or death from a hideous gas, or from suffocation, or from drowning, since Pisces is a water sign. Or it could come from a drug overdose, or it could come from a stealthy attack made by people who are disguised as being involved in a humanitarian effort. In other words, they could be a whole military group, but they're not wearing uniforms, and besides, they're looking as if they want to do something for the good of humanity, when that certainly is a disguise, because they're like a loose cannon or somebody who's a little crazy right now, and they'll do anything to get their own way, because the only thing they revere is anarchy and power, but certainly not humanity. Secondly, we do know that there are these 4 planets in the fire signs and 4 planets in the water signs. The remaining 2 planets in the heavens are Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. That's an earth sign, and there are no planets in air signs. But what we know is that fire and water do not mix. And the reason why is because water puts the fire out. And so what we're faced with right now is the possibility of a loose cannon somewhere, or an organization that doesn't care how many laws it breaks, because it can have an arrogant contempt for humanity. And the problem is that we might have to endure a very bitter tolerance of that right now until about the month of April in 2019. And by that time, I think that their evil plans will self-destruct. But we may have to endure a loose cannon somewhere in our lives, and we need to be very careful, because that person or a group that they belong to is extremely dangerous right now and very threatening. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, what it means is that I think you cut your mind somewhere else. In fact, it could be on some sort of long-distance trip, or on friends coming from a foreign country to visit you. And that's because, Aries, you have Uranus at that 29th degree of fate in your sign. Uranus is a planet of sudden surprising change, and your sign does rule new beginnings. But it's being trined beautifully by the new moon, the sun, and Jupiter tomorrow in Sagittarius. And that's good for you. That means that you could be having a really big urge to sort of break out and do things your way. And you could have your mind perhaps on increasing your skills by going back to school and furthering your education. That's what Sagittarius rules. Or you simply want to explore your own religious or philosophical beliefs. And you may get an opportunity to do that. You certainly would get an opportunity to travel. It doesn't have to be right now, but you might be sort of planning it right now, which is a good idea. You'd have to do that, and also keep your employer or a work atmosphere in mind, because Saturn and Pluto are squaring your sun. And so you know, for about the next year and a half, you are going to have to listen to people who are more experienced or who are demanding that you do your very best. So if you can live up to that, there'll be a big reward in about a year and a half, and then you can still travel to a foreign country. So keep that in mind, Aries. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, I think this is a time when you might have to sort of pay up. And the reason why is that your ruler, Venus, has gone into Scorpio, and it's joining Mercury there. And they are both opposing your sun sign. And Scorpio does rule loans and money and debt and inheritance and insurance costs and taxes. And so that is why you might have to sort of pay out, or if you have a loan outstanding, you might have to pay a little bit more on that, or there could be higher credit costs right now. So you need to really think of the long term. Saturn and Pluto are trining your sun, Taurus, and that simply means that as long as you keep your long-term goals in mind, then you can proceed sort of slowly and cautiously. And that would be with the idea of maybe working a little harder to get a promotion this year. That would give you more money, but it would also allow you to put more away for retirement. That's what I mean by the long goal. And that means that you should be very willing to work hard in 2019. So keep your mind on that. And if there's any loose cannon around or anybody who seems to be a little bit dangerous in your life, boy, you need to run away from them, Taurus, and only concentrate on working hard, because you could make rather large gains in 2019 as long as you really stuck to your work plans. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, remember I said there aren't any planets in the air signs, so there's nothing backing you up, Gemini. And the Sun and, or the Mars and Neptune in Pisces, which are both conjuncting each other and in a dangerous square to the planets in Sagittarius, they're squaring your Sun, Gemini, and the Sun, New Moon, and Jupiter tomorrow in Sagittarius are opposing your Sun. That's 5 planets in a harsh aspect to your Sun sign, and your Sun sign has no backup because there are no planets in the other air signs. You really need to keep quiet right now, Gemini, and the reason why is that danger is in the air. There are people around that might just be jealous of you or envious of you, and they wouldn't stop at anything to try and make your life miserable right now, Gemini, and that's why you need to back up a little bit. And the reason why you need to be quiet is because if you make a reply or you say what's really on your mind, you're going to make yourself a target, okay? And that isn't going to do you any good. And the reason why is that all the time that the spotlight would be on you, it won't be on the people behind the scenes who are causing the problem. What you need to do is be really, really quiet so that they will feel more confident about their evil plans and come out in the open. And once they're exposed, that is when you can do something about them. But you can't do anything about them as long as they continue to hide out in some sort of disguise. And that's why you need to be as quiet as you can to draw them out into the open. And that is very necessary for your own safety as well, Gemini. So this is a week when you should go on vacation or call in sick or just be as quiet as you can. But it will be for your own good and for your own safety. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that you may know who a loose cannon is. In other words, there could be, that's because Mars and Neptune in Pisces are trining your Sun, and so are Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. There are 4 planets in the water signs trining your own Sun sign, Cancer. But the 2 planets in Pisces are just up to no good right now. And so I think that if there are people around that could be living life dangerously right now, or maybe trying to live 2 different kinds of lifestyles, you need to stay away from them, Cancer. Or it can be that there are people around that have been leading you down the garden path and filling you full of some great sounding lies, and you need to find out what's true and what isn't, because if you go on believing the lies, it's you that could be harmed by that. And so you really need to look for proof before you believe anything, and do research. In other words, whatever somebody's telling you, go around them or behind their backs and sniff out the truth if you can, Cancer. It will do you a lot of good to know the real truth about what people have been doing rather than what they've been telling you. At the same time, there can be some more money coming your way since Venus is in Scorpio. I think it's coming through a loved one. And so it can be money coming from a partner or somebody else, but I think it is coming your way. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, This is a time when, just like Taurus, I think you are going to have to pay out a little bit, and that is because Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, a fixed financial sign, are squaring your sun sign. However, your sun sign is basking in the joy and the glory of 4 planets in the other fire signs, all trining your sign. That's real good for you, Leo. That means opportunity abounds. And that's because Uranus in Aries, which does rule new beginnings, is trining your sun sign. And tomorrow's new moon, with the sun, new moon, and Jupiter in Sagittarius, are also trining your sun sign. So despite the fact that you are going to have to probably pay out something. It could be a loan. It could be having to cover higher expenses right now. Whatever it is, you're going to have to pay for that right now. And so there's going to be money going out instead of coming in. And that's the way it just is right now, Leo. But also your world is opening up, and that simply means there can be the hope for some sort of new beginning that could even bring some kind of peace. And that is possible. However, it may not really come about, and you may have to bitterly tolerate some sort of loose cannon somewhere in your life. And you know, you're going to have to put up with that for a little bit longer. I think it will all self-destruct by April of 2019. But I think that you're going through this period of time when you need to be a little bit careful, because somebody has been telling pretty big lies or been misleading or has been willing to shred all legal precedents in order to follow their own legal evil plan. And if you suspect anybody, you should check them out, Leo, before you agree to anything. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when, just like Gemini, you have got to keep your back to the wall, and you have got to be very, very careful of your own safety right now, Virgo. And the reason why is yours is a mutable sign, and there are 5 planets in mutable signs, and they're all in harsh aspect to your sun sign. So even though Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are trining your sun, meaning that you need to stick to long-term goals and be willing to work hard right now and keep your mind on work and not on anything else. The reason why that can end up being your salvation, Virgo, is because the sun, new moon, and Mercury, the sun, new moon, and Jupiter in Sagittarius are squaring your sun, which means that somebody else is wanting to go their own way. And it might be for good reasons, but it could challenge you a little bit because their plans may not include you. And then the real troublemaker is that Mars is exactly conjuncting Neptune today in Pisces at 14 degrees, and they are both opposing your sun sign, and they are up to no good. And so there is somebody in your life, somewhere around in your life, Virgo, that has been telling you whoppers. They have been lying through their teeth for a long time. They have been deliberately misleading you. You have been getting mixed messages. You probably caught on to that, but you may not have known who or what to believe. And so I really think that you can't quite trust anybody, but particularly not somebody that's been around for a while. In other words, they've been either telling you what you want to hear instead of the whole truth, or they have been lying to you, just outright misleading you. And that's why you need to pull back right now, keep your mind on work, and really don't make any promises you may not want to keep later on, Virgo. Instead, you have to really concentrate on sort of minding your own business and not listening to the people you've been listening to lately, because one or more of them is not telling you the truth, and that could be dangerous for you in the end. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, there aren't any planets in the air signs, and so you really don't have any backup right now. And on top of that, Uranus in Aries is opposing your sun sign, so somebody else could make a sudden, surprising new start at any time, particularly since that Uranus is being trined by the new moon in Sagittarius. And then Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are squaring your sun, which means you still have to toe the line and listen to other people sort of tell you what to do, particularly if they have more experience than you, and they can be demanding more and more from you. But I would suggest that you listen to them, because you could benefit from that in the long run. The other thing that can benefit you now, though, right away, is that the Sun, New Moon, and Jupiter in Sagittarius are sextiling your Sun, and your ruler, Venus, as well as Mercury, are in Scorpio, also sextiling your Sun. You've got 5 really good planets right ahead of your Sun sign, Libra. So I think you're going to sort of walk into something pretty good soon. It's just that you can't take all your baggage with you. In other words, you may have been associated with people that are not on the up and up. Then there could be more than one loose cannon in your life, Libra, and you really need to get rid of those people before you go forward into something much nicer. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Okay, Scorpio, this is a time when you can be feeling better, and that's because Venus and Mercury are in your sign, and they are being trined by that Mars and Neptune in Pisces. You may certainly know a loose cannon. You may have been involved in something behind the scenes that wasn't on the up and up, and that certainly may have shredded legal precedence. In other words, it wasn't legal, or you could have some sort of plan that isn't that is somewhat contemptuous of other people's feelings, or maybe you're not taking into account their plans at all, instead just concentrating on your own. Well, you may simply feel better. Your health could improve right now. You could be feeling like you've got more money to spend. All that is good. But at the same time, that new moon with the Sun and Jupiter in Sagittarius are right ahead of your Sun sign. You may have the opportunity to say goodbye to the past and to some loose cannon that's been around in your life already. Maybe it's a whole organization, but you may have the opportunity to say goodbye to that and to make some sort of new beginning that has the promise or the hope of peace. And you might want to consider that, Scorpio, because your sign rules war, and nobody could be at war forever, including you. And so this is a time when you may decide that you want to turn a corner. And I think that would be a wise decision. And when you turn that corner, head for the light, Scorpio. You may have been around dark characters or some dark event for too long, and you need to say goodbye to that. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, the new moon is in your Sun sign. Congratulations. Oh, you couldn't ask for 3 better planets. The Sun, the new moon, and Jupiter, your own ruler, will all be together tomorrow in Sagittarius. And they're being trined by Uranus in Aries. The problem is that Mars and Neptune in Pisces are malevolently squaring your sign exactly, and that simply means there is a loose cannon around. You need to be very careful of your own safety right now, Sagittarius. Yes, you can have hope for a new beginning that can eventually bring peace. You can be very high-minded, and you can be wanting the best for everybody, but not everyone feels like you do, Sagittarius. And so you may want to uplift mankind, but right now there are people that would like to drag it down, that don't have any concern. They have an arrogant contempt for humanity and human kindness and spirituality, and you really need to stay away from those people. But they might see you as a threat, Sagittarius, and that's why, when in doubt, withdraw. In other words, just be a little too busy. You don't have to be everywhere at once, and be sure to have people around you that you trust right now. You need to guard your own safety a little bit more, Sagittarius, because there's a loose cannon around somewhere, and if it's headed your way, you could be in a little bit of trouble, so be careful. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you could be very strong because Saturn and Pluto are in your sign, but they're not being backed up by anything. There's nothing in Virgo or in Taurus right now, so you're a little bit on your own, and Uranus in Aries is squaring your Sun. But right behind your Sun sign, in the background of your life, there's a lot of light, Capricorn, because the Sun, new moon, and Jupiter are in Sagittarius right behind your Sun sign. So there can be something that is somewhat glowingly good in the background of your life that you can be very proud of, or that you can be wanting to do, or that can be having all kinds of promise of good things ahead for you on a very high plane, or you can simply be wanting to increase your skills. And other people can see that as well, and they can like you for it and be proud of you for that, Capricorn. So that's good, but you still need to remember you're on your own. There's nothing backing up your sun sign right now. So I hope that you proceed with caution. And if you get a funny feeling that there's a loose cannon around, run the other way. You don't need them in your life. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, there aren't any planets in the air signs, and you have two planets behind your sun sign, Saturn and Pluto, that really mean business. So you can have something in the background of your life that is really demanding that you slow down and do your best and work hard, and it can even be worrying you a little bit. And then there are two planets right ahead of your sun sign, Mars and Neptune in Pisces, which means you could walk into a whole lot of trouble right now, Sagittarius, if you're around anybody who appears to be a loose cannon or is wild in any way or is involved in any kind of sexual promiscuity, alcoholism, or drugs, because it could implicate you in a way that would really harm you. So don't step into a mess right now, Aquarius, because your sign has no backup at all. And that is why you have to be very selective in your choice of friends right now. And I hope that you consider making new friends. This could be the right time to do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, you have Mars and Neptune conjuncting in your sign very strongly, and they are squaring the Sun, New Moon, and Jupiter in Sagittarius tomorrow. And that simply means that you need to say no to temptation in any way right now, Pisces, because you can be vulnerable to somebody who is a loose cannon or an organization that wants to just shred the law right now, and because they have an arrogant contempt for humanity. And so that means that you have to be extremely honest with yourself right now, Pisces. And you can either take the high road or the low road. That low road is going to take you even lower. Don't do that. Take the high road and do your best right now, Pisces. And there can be more money in that for you because Venus and Mercury in Scorpio are trining your sun. So there is a possibility that your life could be a lot better. But if you are tempted by anything, you could suffer for that. And that's why you have to turn your back on that and take that high road instead. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org.